Good afternoon and welcome to the Tameside Reporter Football Preview Show. I'm Tom Gregan and joining me on the show is our resident sports journalist Mark Phillip. Mark, welcome to the show once again.
Thanks for having me on, Tom.
Well, we've got a lot to get through this week, lots of football to look back on and look forward to, but we'll start with, of course, the big story of the week. Curzon Ashton through to the second round of the FA Cup for the first time since 2008. They got there thanks to a 3-1 victory over Westfields FC in the first round replay on Monday night. Mark, you and I were there. We expected Curzon to win, but it was a thoroughly professional job.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. A thoroughly professional job. My prediction almost came to light. I did predict 3-0. However, Curzon were denied a clean sheet as Westfield scored in the 93rd minute. However, I don't think that will bother them whatsoever.
Late consolation ruining Mark's prediction there. Never mind, I don't think we're too bothered. Curzon will play AFC Wimbledon in the second round at the Tameside Stadium after the Dons beat Bury 5-0 in their first round replay. That game will be broadcast live on BT Sport 1 on Sunday the 4th of December with a 12pm kick-off. Mark, were you expecting Wimbledon to be the opponents?
I was, to be honest with you. I think you've only got to look at Bury's current league status. That 5-0 defeat did mark the end of Gary Flitcroft's reign in charge of Bury. I know a lot of fans were pretty unhappy with the way things are going down at Gig Lane. I think they're in a bit of financial turmoil as well, so hopefully they can bounce back from that.
There was over 1,000 people at the Tameside Stadium on Monday night, sure to be a lot more there for the second round, so obviously it's going to be a great game on the pitch, but also huge financial bonus off it for Curzon.
Yeah, absolutely, and we must make note that that game is going to be all tickets, so no tickets can be purchased on the day. Like you said, financial rewards are massive in the FA Cup, 75 grand for appearing on TV, plus the 50 they've already made from progressing through the early rounds of the competition. It's going to do wonders for the club, and I know that they're investing that money into a new artificial pitch at the Tameside Stadium.
There we go, a brilliant achievement with Curzon, but it's not just the FA Cup in which they won this week. On Saturday they beat Gloucester away. Mark, that was quite a surprising result.
I have to admit I wasn't expecting that whatsoever. We said in last week's show that Gloucester are chasing the playoffs this season, so for Curzon to return with a 2-0 victory was massive for them.
They won that game 2-0 with Adam Morgan sealing the victory with the goal late on. He also scored 2 against Westfield. He's been a pretty good signing.
Been quite the influence, hasn't he? Signed at the end of October, former Liverpool striker. I noticed that he's got about 120,000 followers on Twitter, so surely he was a big name while he was at Liverpool. He has done remarkable things at the Tameside Stadium. 4 goals in 5 appearances. He may be just the player to help Curzon out of this difficult situation.
Well, Adam Morgan and Curzon Ashton will be hoping to keep that momentum going at home to FC Halifax Town this weekend. Mark, what can you tell us about Halifax?
Halifax, relegated from the National League last season. On the last day of the season, I must add, they've recruited a new striker in Tom Denton, former North Ferriby United striker. He's been massive in their season so far, scoring 12 goals to date. They've also got a new manager in Billy Heath. He was actually at North Ferriby United last season, got them promoted to the National League. However, he decided to step down and join Halifax Town, and it looks like it's been a wise decision so far.
So it will be a tricky game for Curzon, but they'll be on a high, so hopefully they can pull off a result. We'll move on now to our other National League North team, and that's Stalybridge Celtic, who fell to FC United 4-2 on Saturday. Mark, you said that was a must-win game for Stalybridge, and they've lost. What did you make of it?
I wasn't expecting that, especially given Stalybridge took the lead in that game. 4-2, not a great result for Celtic. I think that leaves them 7 points adrift of safety in the National League North. If you are going to stay up this season, you have to be winning games such as FC United, or should I say beating teams such as FC United. And you look at the fixture tomorrow afternoon, they make the journey to promotion chasing Tamworth, who have been a somewhat surprise package this season. It's going to be a really tough game, and I wouldn't expect them to get anything there.
So we'll move on now to our Evo-Stik Premier Division team, which is of course Ashton United. They went down 3-1 to Farsley Athletic at home on Saturday. Mark, they've still not won 2 games on the bounce all season. We're expecting Ashton to get a result there.
Absolutely. You know, you're taking on Farsley Athletic, who are struggling this season, and then to get beat by them 3-1 was a surprising result. They couldn't build on the previous success, which was a 3-2 victory over Mickleover Sports, but they did bounce back on Tuesday, didn't they?
They did bounce back on Tuesday with a 2-0 win against Warrington Town in the Integral Duton League Cup. Mark, that's the only cup competition Ashton are left in now, so will they be taking that competition seriously?
I think they will be. However, I think the priority still remains with the league this season. They will be wanting to forge their way into the Evo-Stik playoff zone for the 4th consecutive season. I think it will be a little bit more difficult than it was in the past few seasons. However, I still think they've got a chance.
Let's hope so. And they've got a good chance to finally win consecutive games this weekend with a trip to Corby Town, who are really struggling.
Yeah, they are really struggling. These are the games that Ashton United have to be winning if they want to push themselves up the table. I think Jody Banniman and Will Haining will be saying to the players the exact same thing. They'll be saying, listen, you have to win these games if you do want to push into the playoffs. And
let's hope they can do that. So we'll move on now to the Evo-Stik First Division North, and it's been a fantastic week for Glossop North End, who beat Brighouse Town 2-0 on Saturday, and that result took them to the top of the league. Can they stay there, Mark?
I think they can do, yeah. They've just got to build on that victory last weekend. It was a massive result for them to go and beat Brighouse Town, who will be challenging for the title this season. Was a massive result, and I listened to the interview or post-match interview with manager Chris Wilcock, and he seemed absolutely delighted with the result.
Excellent. And following that result to take them top of the league, they played in the Integral Dewton League Cup first round, beating Witton Albion 6-0. Jamie Rainford once again on the score sheet. He scored 2 goals. He's on fire at the minute.
He is on fire. He joined the club last season. I think over summer there was a bit of confusion as to whether he would stay at Surrey Street or not. He decided to put pen to paper. He stayed there, and it's proven to be a wise decision, not only for him but for the club in general.
So Glossop's first chance to cement their position at the top of the table comes on Saturday with a trip to 7th place Bamber Bridge, and then the host Farsley Celtic at home on Tuesday. Mark, they're 2 big games now considering the league positions. 2
massive games, and as we said before we started filming, you want to stay top of the league all the way through the season. It is only goal difference at the moment. They've got a great opportunity against 7th place Bamber Bridge tomorrow, but I think the big game comes next Tuesday, as you said, against Farsley Celtic.
Huge top of the table clash, and Hyde United have got a huge game this weekend as well. We'll come to that in a minute, but first of all we'll look back at their result from last weekend, a 2-2 draw against Ossett Town. Mark, that's a good result for Hyde, that.
A great result. Hyde United obviously struggling in the league this season, it has to be said. They took on playoff chasing Ossett Town last Saturday, claimed a 2-2 draw. They actually took a 2-1 lead in that game, so maybe Darren Kelly a little bit disappointed not to claim all 3 points, but to claim a point against a playoff hopeful, still a great result.
And Hyde carried on that good form into the Manchester Premier Cup on Tuesday night as they played National League North side Salford City, getting a creditable 3-3 draw, but unfortunately losing out on penalties. By all accounts, it was a good performance from Hyde against loftier opponents.
Well, that's it. Salford City compete in 2 divisions above Hyde United. They competed in the same division last season in the Evo-Stik Premier Division. Obviously, the 2 sides have gone in complete opposite directions. As you just said, though, Hyde United put in a real steely performance on Tuesday evening. Unlucky to get beaten on penalties, but I think they'll still take a lot of confidence from that game.
So they'll be hoping for another good performance against Ramsbottom this weekend, which is a really big game. Ramsbottom sitting 15th with Hyde in 16th. Mark, this is must win for Hyde if you want to start looking up the table rather than over the shoulder into the relegation battle.
Absolutely, and it has to be said, for me personally, this is the game of the weekend. 15 v 16, you've got to be winning these games if you are Hyde United. The same goes for Ramsbottom United. My prediction, 1-1 draw.
There we go, we'll see if that comes to light. Well, it was a great week for Glossop and Hyde. Not so for Droylsden. On Saturday, they made the 1 trip to Scarborough Athletic, losing 3-1. And then in the Dewton League Cup on Tuesday, they got beat by Trafford 5-3 at home. Mark, because Droylsden had gone a bit of a run before that, so the momentum's disappeared now.
Well, they won 2 consecutive league victories, didn't they? They couldn't make it 3 last weekend, but we did say on last week's show that this was going to be massively difficult for Dave Pace's side. Travelling to the East Coast at any time of the year is always difficult, especially taking on Scarborough Athletic. Scarborough pushing up towards the northern end of the table this season. It didn't surprise me. They have to bounce back this weekend though.
Well, it's not going to be easy to bounce back against Farsley Celtic at home. Farsley are doing all right.
Absolutely, and I think that Glossop North End will be hoping that Droylsden can do them a favour tomorrow. My prediction though is another loss for Droylsden, but these aren't the games that they're predicted to win. You have to be winning the games in and around you. You know, and you look at Droylsden's current league status, they have to be winning the games against relegation candidates.
So as well as that game on Saturday against Farsley Celtic, they also take the trip to Colwyn Bay on Tuesday, so hopefully they can pick up a result there. But we'll move on now to Mossley, who got a huge win against Burscough on Saturday. Mark, we were expecting them to win that game, and they did so quite convincingly.
We were expecting them to win, as you say, they did quite convincingly, 4-0, they needed that. We said on last week's show though, that if they did lose that game, then alarm bells would be ringing. However, they proved that they can overcome a difficult tie, so onwards and upwards for the Lily Whites.
Well, unfortunately for Mossley, they couldn't capitalise on that result because in the Integral Dewston Week Up on Tuesday, they fell to Nantwich Town, a late goal knocking them out there. But they'll be looking to move on as they make the long trip to Scarborough this weekend, as Droylsden did last weekend. Do you expect Mossley to fare any better than Droylsden?
I don't, if I'm honest with you. But as I just said about Droylsden, these aren't the games that they're meant to be winning. They need to be winning the games against teams in and around them, near the relegation zone. And if they can do that, I don't think Peter Bandside will have any worries this season.
But then Mossley make the trip to Lancaster, who's sitting 4th on Tuesday, so that's also going to be a difficult game for them, a difficult week coming up. So we'll finish off with a look at this week's fixtures then for our Tameside teams. In the National League North on Saturday, Curzon, fresh from that FA Cup victory, will host Halifax Town, while Stalybridge Celtic make the difficult trip to Tamworth. In the Evo-Stik Premier Division, Ashton travel to bottom club Corby, and in the Evo-Stik First Division North, Droylsden play Farsley Celtic. Glossop travel to Bamber Bridge, hoping to cement their position at the top of the league. Hyde United play in the game of the week, according to Mark, at Ramsbottom, and Mossley make the long trip to Scarborough. Then on Tuesday, our Evo-Stik First Division North sides are in action again. Colwyn Bay are the opponents for Droylsden, that's going to be a difficult game. Glossop hosts Farsley Celtic, and Mossley travel to Lancaster. Well, that's all for this week. Don't forget, for a more in-depth roundup of the borough's sport, you can tune into Tameside Radio at 6 o'clock tonight with Mark and Martin for the Sporting Spotlight.